Hwang In-ho. This player name is 132 in the 28th Squid Game and player 001 in 2024 Squid Game. He is also known as Frontman or Captain and Leader to the Gods. Hwang Jun-ho calls him Hyung and Oh Young-il is his fake identity in the game. His family includes Park Mal-joon's stepmother Hwang Jun-ho, younger paternal half-brother, unnamed wife, unnamed unborn children. His relationships include Oh Lil Nam boss, Pink Guards, employees, VIPs, clients, Seong Gi-hun, archenemy, and his affiliations includes frontman in Squid Games, police officer formerly, detective formerly. He is a frontman and he was born on February 2nd, 1976. He is now 49 years old. He is still alive and his physical description includes a male, brown color eyes, and brown hair color. He is portrayed by Lee Byung-hun. His first appearance was in Red Light, Green Light. Last appearance was Friend or Foe. Hwang In-ho to Seong Gi-hun at the last of the season 2. He said, Player 456, do you have fun playing the hero? Look closely at the consequences of your Road to Hero game. Hwang In-ho, born February 2, 1976, also known as the Frontman, is the current head staff member and the person who oversees the Squid Games. He is the brother of Hwang Jun-ho and became the frontman after he played in and won the 28th Squid Game in 2015 as player 132. In 2022, his brother infiltrated the third Squid Game in an attempt to find him after he went missing. The frontman wields absolute control over all these classes of gods and observes the survival competition games through several monitoring screens as the games unfold. He sometimes steps in when a situation gets out of control during the game, such as when the identity of a staff member is somehow revealed, which is forbidden in the games, in which case the frontman storms in and executes the exposed staffer. The frontman also is often seen answering phone calls back at his quarters, communicating with the person on the other line about the ongoing competition. This is usually the host whose orders he carries out. He also ensures that VIPs have a good time while watching the game. While participating in the Squid Game in 2024 as player 001, Inho used the alias Oh Young-il. His personality includes whether you sell the dead bodies, organs, or eat them, or whatever. He said, I don't give a damn. However, you ruined the most important aspect of this place, equality. Everyone is equal while they play this game. Here, every player gets to play a fair game under the same conditions. These people suffered from inequality and discrimination out in the world, and we are giving them one last chance to fight fair and win. But you broke the principle. He had said this to a soldier. As a frontman, Inho is cold and calculating, being the main overseer of the games. He is shown to be remorseless with his killing, showing no sign of hesitation when killing others who get in his way. He is highly analytical and meticulous with his anonymity as well as his planning, ensuring that the games are hidden from the outside world. Despite his overall lack of morality, however, Inho places a lot of importance on maintaining equality and fairness in the games. He views it as one of the game's most important aspects and is incredibly strict with it to the point of going as far as killing those who take advantage of the game's pleasure to get ahead. Under the alias Oh Young-il, he disguised himself as a player of the games and presented himself as level-headed, logical, and reasonable. He appeared highly empathetic and caring of others, such as when he evaded Kim Jong-hee upon hearing that she is pregnant, even offering her his milk during mealtime, and saved Jang Gyung-ja alongside Seong Gi-hun during Mingle. He also stood up for Lee Myung-ji against Thanos and Namgyo. He appeared to have a humorous side to him as he had a habit of making bad jokes, although this may simply be an attempt to try to fit in more with the others. Additionally, despite knowing that killing is allowed, he still had the restraint to spare Thanos when he begged for mercy. This suggests that while he is still a remorseless person at this core, he does not completely lack a sense of humanity as he still harbors some care towards other people. However, his overall lack of empathy towards others leads him to lack understanding of Ji-hoon's own empathy towards others. As a result of this, he frequently observes Ji-hoon's behavior towards others throughout the game, which he finds himself both puzzled and intrigued by. Despite this, he can be judgmental about Ji-hoon's actions, shown when he smirks at the thought that Ji-hoon was willing to sacrifice others in order to launch the rebellion, as it contradicted his initial deal of saving as many of the players as he could. However, it is suggested that Inho was more empathetic in the past and was capable of loving others, as he stated that his main reason for joining the Gangs was to save both his wife and unborn child, who were both at risk of dying. In addition to this, Inho is shown to still harbor some care for his brother Jun-ho, as he gave him a non-fatal gunshot wound on his right shoulder instead of killing him, after which he was rescued and brought back to shore, presumably by a fisherman that Inho sent to save him. He also appears to hold genuine respect for his mother, Oh Lil Nam, ending the special round at his request and visiting his deathbed to pay his respects after the latter passes away. In whose extreme intelligence has been showcased on many occasions, most notably in Season 2. Apart from his behavior during the games, he was able to keep track of Ji-hoon, who had been searching for him for the past 2 years without him knowing, and was thus able to capture him, which led him to rejoin the games. With his wits, he aided Ji-hoon and his team through the second and third games under his temporary alias. However, he was shown to be emotionally manipulative, taking advantage of Ji-hoon's ignorance by opening up to him about his reason for joining the games, as well as breaking down during the second game at the thought of losing to gain his trust and get closer to him, just to betray him in the end. His extreme caution comes as a result of his natural intelligence, and he was thus able to betray the team without Ji-hoon realizing. He is also shown to have purposefully sabotaged the games, such as when he casted a vote to continue the games after the first game and when he purposefully failed at the spinning top game in the second game multiple times to slow the team down and put them, especially Ji-hoon, under pressure. While he outwardly presented himself as a completely different person, In-who still maintained some of his core traits, namely his ability to kill others without remorse, shown when he killed another player in the third game to save Park Jun-bae. Apparently, while masked, Hwang In-ho appears in all-black outfit, including a black geometrically patterned mask. His look stands out from that of the other staff members who don't wear hot pink tracksuits with a black mask, each bearing either a circle, triangle, or square symbol. His history from the break history is Hwang In-ho was born on February 2, 1976 somewhere in Gyeonggi-do. During his childhood, his father remarried to a woman named Park Mal-soon and they had a son, Hwang Jun-ho. At some point in his life, he gave one of his kidneys to his brother. Between 1999 and 1995, Hwang In-ho attended Seoul High School. He then went to Police University from 1995 to 1999. After graduating, he began a job as a police detective. After graduating, he began a job as a police detective in 2001, eventually becoming a highly decorated officer within the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency. As a member of law enforcement who held a high sense of duty and justice, he would serve in his position for the next 14 years. Disguised as Oh Young-il in the Squid Games, Inho revealed his backstory reasoning for joining the game, which can easily be interpreted for why he joined the 28th Squid Game. When his wife suffered from acute liver cirrhosis, during her pregnancy, the doctor revealed that she had to make a choice: terminate her pregnancy and live, or go through with it but risk death. His wife was adamant to save her child even at the cost of her life, since finding the donor and covering the transplant operation was too expensive. In who was forced to borrow money from a criminal, which was mistaken for taking a bribe. Despite his perfect track record and the circumstances of his wife, his superior fired him without a second thought. Desperate, he entered the 28th Squid Games as player 132 and eventually went on to win, but it was too late as his wife passed away before he could use the winnings to pay for the surgery. Maddened with grief, he agreed to join Oh Lil Nam, eventually becoming the frontman. About a week before the 33rd Squid Game began, he left his apartment and did not contact his family. This resulted in Jun-ho believing he had gone missing. Jun-ho visited his apartment to investigate and discovered an invitation card for Squid Game, prompting him to reach out to Seong Gi-hun, who will attempted to report the Squid Games to the police with an identical car after being ripped off. Jun-ho told Ji-hoon when he was picked up by Squid Game staff, allowing him to infiltrate the game's third Squid Game. In this game, the frontman is first seen as he walks into the room, where workers are monitoring the players through cameras when the players enter the area for the first game. The frontman makes a phone call telling the person on the other end that the preparations are complete and the game can begin. He then starts watching the game on a big screen while listening to Fly Me to the Moon and drinking whiskey. After the Squid Game was stopped due to players voting for it to end, it restarted later on due to many players choosing to return. A manager informs the frontman that 93% of the players returned to the games. The frontman tells him to keep an eye on the 14 people who did not return and to keep him posted. After another manager is forced to take his mask off by a player who stole his gun, the frontman enters the room and shoots the worker through the head. He reminds the other workers that once somebody finds out who you are dead. The frontman then orders the workers to give the players minimal food to set off a fight between the players. He makes the lights flicker to cause more hysteria. When player 001, in whose boss, cries out to stop the fight, the frontman tells the workers to end it. After Byung-ji, a doctor who helped workers with organ selling, lashes out over some workers and kills one, a worker takes off his mask to show he is just human and calm Byung-ji down. The worker then secretly tries to stab Byung-ji, but the frontman enters the room and shoots him. He tells him that he does not care about the organ selling, but that he is angry the worker ruined the equality of the players by giving Byung-ji advantageous information. He tells him that the players suffer inequality in the real world and the games are the last chance to fight fair. He then shoots the worker again, this time killing him. The front man is informed about another dead worker. He finds out there is an intruder on the island and demands the workers to find him. He then takes the bullet out of the body's head and takes a close look at it, recognizing it as one from a gun which is standard issue for Korean police. Later, the front man returns to his quarters to take a phone call, but he notices that the phone is placed differently than he usually does it. This tips him off that the intruder is probably close to him, so he takes out his gun and goes to search for the intruder. He mentions that he knows that he is a cop and asks the intruder to come and talk with him because that he cannot leave the place without his permission. He enters the room the intruder is in, nearly finding him, but he gets a call revealing that a body was found on the island. He goes to see it and is given the police ID that was in the body's pocket. He sees that it is Hwang Jun-ho's ID, his younger brother. He also sees that the body is not Jun-ho, realizing he is an intruder and is still walking around. He tells the guards to incinerate the body, likely as he wants to find and deal with Jun-ho himself. When the VIPs arrive, he informs the host and goes to greet them. He introduces himself and brings them the room where they can watch the next game. During the game, he keeps the VIPs informed about the game and the players. As he finds out that the intruder had been just with one of the VIPs, he goes to look for him. He finds out that Junho escaped through a hole and catches a glimpse of him at the end of it. Through a phone call, he is informed that the diving equipment is gone and the intruder must have left through the underwater cave. He goes after him in a speedboat with a team of guards. He tells them to bring him alive. As the guards catch up with Junho and corner him on a cliff, the front man arrives. The front man tells Jinho that he will let him live if he hands over the gun and phone. He explains that he knows that Junho has only one bullet left in his gun because of police regulations. As the front man gets closer, Junho shoots him in the shoulder. The workers want to shoot Junho, but the frontman signs not to. Junho asks the frontman who he is, to which he responds by taking off his mask, revealing that he is Junho's brother Inho. He asks the shocked Jun-ho to come with him, but the detective refuses. In response, Inho shoots his brother non-fatally in the shoulder. As Jun-ho falls off the cliff, Inho simply puts his mask back on and walks away with his escort. Later, as Inho goes back to his office, he takes care of his bullet wound while looking in the mirror. He is haunted by a hallucination of Jun-ho asking him why. After Ji-hoon wins the game, he sits in the limo with him and congratulates him. Ji-hoon asks him why they are doing this and In-ho compares it with horse racing. He also tells Ji-hoon that he is surprised he made it this far and to think of it as a dream. In 2021, Hwang In-ho can be seen standing next to the bed of Il Nam, who had just died. He reflects on the conversation he will have with him a year before during the third Squid Game. Before closing his eyes and walking away, he has now assumed full control of the games following Lil Nam's death. In 2024, In-ho continues to not contact his stepmother and subsequently the still alive Jun-ho for 3 years, leading to her believing he blames her for his wife's death. Hwang In-ho retains his role as a frontman for the annual Squid Games. During the recruiting period, the frontman learns that Ji-hoon plans to kidnap him and decides to confront him himself. During their conversation, Ji-hun decides to go for another strategy and enters the Squid Games once more after showing visible frustrations due to a lack of player that's due to Ji-hun's intervention and leadership in red light green light compared to a dead rule in the original game. He fears Ji-hun could pose a threat to the 2024 games. Thus, Inho uses his anonymous identity to enter the games as Oh Young-il, player 001, and casts the deciding vote to continue the games after red light green light. He plays the games in order to keep an eye on Ji-hoon and manipulate him on the right occasions. Despite some shortcomings such as naming Ji-hoon without being told, he gains the trust of his other comrades and they form a team in six-legged pentathlon where he played spinning top. He is even applauded by all the other players after defending Myung-ji from Thanos and Namgyo during the games. Inho participates in all legitimacy and helps his team to win. However, during the game, Mingle Jun-jae witnesses Inho guessing the required numbers of players per room and later killing a man in cold blood in order to survive, disturbing Jung-jae, in who can be seen generally connecting with his peers, staying up during the night during six legs to talk to Ji-hoon about his wife, who he claimed was ill and needed a liver transplant. Whilst this was true, it occurred during 2015 when he was a legitimate player of the games. This can be seen as an Inho genuinely trying to explain to Ji-hoon that the games give the separate people one last chance at turning their life around, otherwise being put out of their misery in an attempt to subdue Ji-hoon's anger around the games. Immediately following a vote to end the games after the third round, a bloody brawl unfolded in the bathroom between several players who wanted to end the games and those who wished to continue. Five were killed in the aftermath, but the other players then quickly realized that they could freely kill each other outside the games. In order to further increase the prize money, two sides clearly formed based upon the voting process, with the players that wanted to continue the games determined to measure those who wanted to leave. Ji-hoon, knowing the bloodshed that would unfold from his previous game, convinces a small group to join him in rebelling against the guards, capturing the frontman and ending the games. As the lights turned off, members of the O team rushed through the darkness and began murdering the other sleeping players, quickly starting her a brutal fight reminiscent of the special game 3 years prior. Ji-hoon's group, however, remains hidden under and around the building while the others fight, reluctantly sacrificing their fellow anti-game players to maintain the ruse. Eventually, after dozens are killed, a squad of soldiers finally enter to break up the fighting, separating everyone but then Ji-hoon's group, still hidden under the bedding or playing dead, pounds on the soldiers all at once, disarming several of their MP5A3 submachine guns and fighting back against them. The players, including Inho, impressively managed to kill many of the soldiers, with the masked officer calling for the survivors to retreat and sealing the main doors to the dorms, but trapping the squad's manager inside when he failed to escape. Player of 47, enraged at the program players for killing innocents, moves to gun down several of them, but Ji-hoon stops him and reminds him that if he kills them, he will be no different from the masked man. Yeon-jo suggests they gather the dead soldiers' guns and ammunition, then destroys the dormitory cameras to hide themselves from the control room. Ji-hoon delivers a speech to be gathered the survivors and states plan to fight their way to the headquarters and end the event, imploring anyone with experience handling guns to step forward. When the players all hesitate, Park Jong-bae sympathizes with them but reminds them that it may be the last opportunity for everybody to escape and go home, which convinces player 015 to fight. A few others also step up to join, including players 072, 206, 324, 145, and 246, bringing Ji-hoon's group to about 12 fighters. Noticing the others struggling, Hyun-joo steps forward and instructs the rebels on how to operate the MP5A3, revealing to a questioning 246 that she formerly served as a sergeant first class in Korean Special Forces. Ji-hoon forces the capture manager to remove his mask, with Jung-bae expressing disbelief at his young age smashing through the side door to the bathrooms. The group exits the dorms and proceeds into the massive multicolored stairwell where they are attacked by several soldiers from a higher level and pinned down. Ji-hoon-jo rushes forward and manages to kill three soldiers from a vantage point, forcing those remaining to retreat while the players push forward. Unaware of a larger group waiting to ambush them, they reach the entrance to the complex management area, where the captured manager states he needs his mask to pass through security, which he retrieves. As he looks up, however, the manager sees player 001 Oh Young-il, recognizing him as his boss and standing in disbelief, but is then shot in the head by the ambush group, pinning the players down. The soldiers fire at them from across the towering stairwell up gap, killing player 072 when he fails to reach cover. Ji-hoon orders the others to stay behind and buy time while he and Jung-bae head to the control room, which Young-il questions but complies with. The two find a security door that they pass by using the dead manager's mask, leaving a spare MP5 to hold the door open.
They are attacked by two soldiers but manage to kill them by causing a diversion with the manager's mask, looting them of their ammunition before moving on. Seeing them advance, the officer gathers a large group of soldiers to defend the control room, which Ji-hun and Jung-jae have almost reached. Back in a stairwell, the other rebelling players are locked in a shootout with the soldiers. O-47 manages to kill another guard and advises Kang Dae-hoo to not waste his ammo after Wildred spraying fire, as he is clearly suffering a PTSD episode and beginning to crack from the intensity of the fighting. O-47 suggests to Young-il that they meet up with Ji-hun as they are getting nowhere, being bogged down in a firefight, but Young-il fears they will get surrounded if they move forward with no plan and tells them to hold their ground. 206 is suddenly shot and killed by a soldier flanking a group, but for 246 and Hyun-joo manage to kill him and another flanker. The extended gunfight begins to wear down on the players as they all discover their ammo running dangerously low. While pinned down, Ji-hoon and Jung-bae run into the same problem as they radio Young-il for backup. Ji-hoon reminds them that the soldiers they killed in the domes have extra magazines in their pockets, which Young-il orders someone else to retrieve while he, O-47 and O-15 push on to reinforce Ji-hoon. Hyun-joo prepares to retrieve the magazines, but Dae-who steps up and volunteers to go instead. Being out of ammo anyway, Hyun-joo gives him a loaded MP5 and sends him back after the others cover him, advising him to follow the destroyed cameras. Ji-hoon runs out of ammo and bravely runs to a guard's corpse to grab more magazines, narrowly avoiding being gunned down. Though he suffers a graze on his arm, Young-il 047-015 arrive to assist, with him suggesting to Ji-hoon they attempt to flank the soldiers guarding the control room entrance. Ji-hoon agrees and hands him a spare magazine, which Young-il strangely hesitates to take, but does so anyway, leading the others to outflank the guards. Back in the domes, they who shakily arrives and starts to gather the dead soldiers magazine with the assistance from players 149, 222, and 007, managing to gather more than a dozen. As he leaves the domes, however, the distant gunfire from the shootout frightens him, causing him to become unresponsive when Hyun-joo radios him for help, before backing away in defeat from his PTSD. Having nothing, Hyun-joo volunteers to run back and grab the magazines, assuming Dae-hyo had been killed. Young-il and the others get behind the soldiers near the control room and prepare to ambush them, but 047 is suddenly gunned down by Young-il. 015 suffering the same fate but barely alive. Young-il then radios Ji-hoon and fakes his own death using 015's dying noises through the radio to create the ruse, before executing the injured player with the headshot. Revealing his treachery, Young-il changes his radio channel and orders the guards to start wrapping things up. In reality, he is Hwang In-ho, the frontman. Ji-hoon and Jung-bae also ran out of ammo and surrendered at this point, held at gunpoint by soldiers. The frontman then arrives with the officer questioning Ji-hoon if he had fun playing the hero, before raising his M1911 to execute him. Just as Ji-hoon accepts his fate with a furious gaze, the frontman tells him to look at the consequences of his rebellion, before turning his gun to Jung-bae. The two friends share one last look, then the frontman kills him with a shot to the chest, much to Ji-hoon's heartbreaking anguish as two soldiers barely restrain him from lunging at his adversary. The frontman walks back up to the control room, the rebellion successfully quelled. Now the murders committed in episodes were: the man with the umbrella had the unnamed manager was killed shot in the head, and in the episode A Fair World, organ trafficking soldier was killed. In episode OX, Seung-jae was neck snapped. In the same episode, Kwon Byung-soo was shot in the back, and in episode Friend of Foe, player 015 was shot in the chest, and in the same episode, Park Jung-bae was shot in the heart. Thank you for watching this video, and if you made it to the last, please subscribe to the channel.